What's up guys, I'm back with another tutorial and this time it's gonna be on 2-base Muta in ZvT. Alright, so the build order is very standard, just 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pull. We rally into the gas. And yeah, you can do your basic early game build order, whatever you're using that you feel comfortable with, but this is just what I'm doing. Join up to 21, make an overlord in the main base. And we're gonna make 2 rounds of links in natural. This, and then we just keep droning. You can pull one drone out of gas after you start speed. That's fine. And we're gonna just make sure that you put one drone back before we start our lair here a bit later. So yeah, we just micro against the Reaper, and then we're doing double inject here straight away. Because we're going 2-base, we're not too worried about getting our creep going super fast. And this way, there's no way they can ever deny it with the Reaper. And the supply block here is intentional for this build order, where you go up to 36 with the 2 extra queens starting, and then you make 2 overlords. This is also optional, but this is the most standard 2-base Muta opener, I would say. But yeah, you can do it in another way if you prefer not to get the supply block. What's gonna happen is just gonna float 2 larvas for a little bit. But the overlords will line up with these 2 injects, so it's not gonna be too bad. Preferably deny the Reaper from going into the main, initially with the queens, and then once the queen has enough energy for a tumor, you want to start to move it down and put the links up here instead. And because we have 2 queens here, there's like very little he can do to actually deny our creep spread. So we just do 2 tumors. And here, we're gonna spend our larva into drones. And here we have some options of what we can do. Some people like to take their 3rd base first, and some people like to go their lair first. There's strength to both options, but the main difference is just that if you go 3rd base before lair, your mutas won't be able to kill the battle cruiser if they open BC. So that's the main difference. It's also the Muta timing is slightly later. So versus certain 2 medevac openers, it can be a little bit more difficult, but you'll have extra larva to work with instead. So I would say that both variations are perfectly viable. But if you're somebody who struggles with BCs, I would say that going the lair first is probably a better idea. Though it doesn't really matter. So yeah, just double inject here, and then we start our lair. And now we're gonna go take our 3rd base, and this lines up pretty well with our speed, so if they're being super annoying and trying to deny our 3rd base super hard, we will have speed links to deal with it. Start our 3rd base around 3:35. From here we're gonna spend our larvas into drones and start 2 more gases. And then an overlord after this. And also, when your link speed finishes, you want to send 1 Zergling across the map to scout. And this is just to, have an idea what they're doing. In general, with this build, you don't need too much scouting information, because you're always gonna get this Bailing Nest here after this overlord. So in general, we're safe versus most things. We want to confirm to see what's happening if there's like a super fast 3cc build or a Hellbat all-in. Because the only thing that can really kill us when we're doing this build is very fast like 430 Hellbat marine timing. So what we want to find out with this Zergling is just if that's coming or not. Another thing that's very important with this build is to not overmake Zerglings defensively, because we have limited larva because of this late 3rd hatch. So it's obviously still important to have enough links to not take damage from the Hellions, but it's more important than usual, because with a 3 hatch build it's kind of okay to just overmake some links, because you can make up for the larva lost with the extra larva from the 3rd base, and you can use those links in another way. But here we really want to make sure that we don't waste our larva on Zerglings, so just be aware of how many Hellions are coming at you and make the correct number of Zerglings. Here we're making enough Zerglings, but we were slightly out of position with the queens, so we're gonna take some damage, but it's perfectly fine. When they stack the Hellions like this, you're gonna be able to spread creep for free afterwards, and you're also gonna feel pretty safe after you kill these, so you won't need to make any more Zerglings for a while. But going back to the build order, after we start our bailing nest here around 4 minutes, we're gonna be saturating these gases, take another gas, and get our spire started here as our lair finishes up. And also we're gonna start one more queen. So you can just use the timing as after your lair finishes, it's time to start a queen here basically. And it should line up pretty well with this inject. So yeah, should be gas, spire, queen. Like this. And yeah, like, we're not too concerned about scouting. Here we're gonna make an overseer on the other side of the map right away with our lair. And that's just to be sure if there's like a weird double factory build, or a BC build, or a super fast 3cc build, like without a starport, stuff like that. We're just gonna confirm what's up. We're not really scared of dying to anything at this point, because if there's a Banshee, we can just make an overseer on our side. We have a Banelist coming for any delayed Hellbat push, so we're pretty safe overall. We also have a decent number of queens, and we're not committed to defending our third base, so versus any big committed push on the third base, we can just give it up. But yeah, we're gonna take some damage from these Hellions, but it doesn't really matter, like I talked about earlier. We get to spread creep for free now. And there's a Viking, so we don't even make it overs here. We feel pretty safe anyways. And yeah, from here just saturating our bases. Here you can start baiting speed if you want. There's no real need to start it right away, but there's no reason not to either. You just want to make sure you have it in time for like 640. That's like when the first Terran push can really hit you after a 3cc opener. But it's fine to make it a bit later if you guys want to. I started around this time, but this is like just ultra safe play basically. It's usually fine to make it after the mutas. But yeah, here we're just spending all the money what we have on drones into the third base, and all we're thinking about here is making sure we won't be supply locked when we make our mutas, and also making sure we have enough minerals to make mutas. So after these 5 drones, I'm not making any more mutas. Also mistake here, I didn't have one in the gas, so I'm gonna have slightly less gas. You're supposed to make 8 mutas total with the first wave, but we're probably gonna make 7 here because of the deficiency in gas. So yeah, we just make the mutas, and then we go back into droning all the excess minerals back into drones until we're fully saturated here on the third base. So here you make your initial muta count, which is 7 or 8, doesn't really matter. Just get out a decent chunk of mutas, and then if we haven't started bailing speed already, we're gonna start bailing speed. Start our +1 air attack, start overload speed, and 2 evos. And then we're gonna make sure we have all of those upgrades going before we go back into muta production. So the initial mutas are just gonna go across the map and see what they can do. If there's no turrets, you can go for SCVs or just poke at exposed buildings, or SCVs building barracks or stuff like that, you know. Whatever you can find. But you're not really looking to like do any critical damage with these. You're just looking to put some pressure on and do whatever damage you can. And in the meantime, yeah, we started all the upgrades I talked about. We start an overseer, so in case there's widow mines, we have that. And we're gonna start 1-1 here. And then after we start 1-1, we're taking our 4th hatch. If you have money for it, you can take it earlier as well. That's fine. Just prioritize saturating your 3rd and starting the evos, and then the 4th hatch. We're gonna start 1-1, and from here we just go back into muta production again. And basically you're gonna be spending all your gas into mutas here until you feel like you need banelings. You can make a couple banelings like this, pre-morph just to be safe, in case like a single medevac goes across the map or something like that, right? But there's no real need to make lots of banelings at home at this point, because your mutas are gonna keep him at home, and you'll realize once he moves out, like your mutas will spot the move out, and you should also have spotter links like this, and that's when you start making banelings, when they actually move out. So yeah, from here it's very straightforward. Just get your fourth base going, drone it up, spread creep, make mutaling, and as soon as you're scared about timing, that's when you start making banelings. So yeah, that was 2-base Muta in ZvT. Pretty easy and straightforward to do. There's some tricky parts in the mid game with drone cuts and potential different build orders from Terrans, but overall the execution of this build is pretty straightforward. And you're just looking to do as much harassment as you can with the mutas, like whatever your multitask will allow you to do, while securing map control, securing your creep spread, droning up your fourth, and from there you're in a pretty comfortable macro game. So yeah, let me know if you guys have any ideas for other videos that you want to see, and I'll try to make those. And besides that, just leave your comments and like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll be back again in a short while.